Okay, it's that time of year when I like to look at something summery, summer themed, to do a summer special, if you will. And I've done quite a few of these now. Last year, I think I did Celebrated Summer by Husker Du. And in previous years, what have I looked at? I did Endless Summer by The Sandals. That was a fun one. And many others. I can't remember them all, but maybe I'll put a little playlist together of all of the summer specials that I've done in previous years. But this year I want to look at Summer Breeze. The classic track originally was a hit for Seals and Croft, and my little arrangement that I put together is more based on the feel of the Isley Brothers version. So I'm going to play that through for you, then I'll talk about what's going on. In this video I want to get into things like melodic playing, how to translate vocal melodies onto the guitar, and I'm also going to give you some guitar soloing ideas over this track. So let's get started. Now, as I said, the original version of this song was written by Seals and Croft. It was a hit for them, I think, in 1972. And then in 1974, it was recorded by the Isley Brothers, and it was also quite a big hit for them, I think. Now, my version is very heavily based on the Isley Brothers version. It's in the same key, the chords are the same, and I'm playing some of the guitar parts note for note as Ernie Isley does on that record, and obviously with some of the vocal lines and things I found my own way of playing those on the guitar. And I should say that my version is slightly abbreviated. I've left out some of the middle sections in this tune. I've just got a chorus, a verse, a chorus, and then I wanted to fast forward to the guitar solo, so don't bore us, get to the guitar solo, as the phrase should probably go. Most of this tune is in the key of C major, or its relative minor, which is A minor. And for the introduction, the piano is just outlining a pair of chords. We've got A minor 7 going to D minor 7, and it's over the top of that that Ernie Isley is playing his iconic fuzzed up intro lick. That's the one that goes like this. So let me take you through what's going on then. Most of the notes here you can think of as coming from the A minor pentatonic scale, and starting on our root note and really outlining the notes in an A minor 7 arpeggio. So an A minor 7 arpeggio is that A, C, E and G. So we've got A, C, jumping up to the G and then coming down to the E. Then over onto the third string we've got a D and a C. Then coming down to the 4th fret here, just got a little hammer on and pull off from B to C. Then dropping down to an A, a G, and back to A again. So I'm choosing to play that part of the lick all along the length of the 3rd string. You could move over to the 4th string there if you want to, but it sounds to me like it's probably played on the 3rd string. So. And you can add a bit of vibrato to some of those notes as well. I think Ernie Isley tends to use the whammy bar quite a lot for vibrato. So. And just try and get some of those little details in there, those nuances that really make it come to life. So there's a little slide in there. I'm playing that with just one stroke of the pick. So pick, hammer, pull, and a slide down. And of course you need the fuzz for it to really come to life. So that sounds like this. Next we're into the chorus, and the chords for the chorus go something like this. We've got D minor 7 going to E minor 7, back to D minor 7, and then some kind of G7 or G sus going to the 1 chord C major or C major 7. So we've got kind of 2, 3, 2, 5 going to 1. So quite a jazzy feeling with that chord progression. And then what I was doing when I decided to come up with this arrangement, just listening to the vocal melody and to the phrasing. So that's the first thing to do if you want to come up with a guitar arrangement of a vocal tune. So the vocal melody to this is straightforward enough. It's quite pentatonic based, I think. So something along those lines. But I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting than that. So I decided to harmonise that melody in thirds for the first part of this. So I'm playing up here in the 12th position, starting on frets 14 and 13 on the G and B strings, coming over to the 12th fret on both of those strings, and then back to that initial shape. So you can slide that shape up 2 frets and then come back down again. So and then you've got a little answering melody to that, and I decided to play that down here in the 5th position, so thinking A minor pentatonic or A blues scale, so quite a simple phrase. So you can come up with some little variations to that and try and make it sound vocal. So a lot of that is in the rhythm and the phrasing, and also just adding a little bit of flavour to some of these notes. I'm not just picking many of these notes straight, I'm adding a bit of vibrato or some bending, and it just makes it sound a bit more vocal and come to life a bit more. So lots of little variations you could try on that phrase. Then we've just got this linking melody, which is played by the fuzz guitar on the record. So on the B string here, 5, 6 and 8. And then it's coming back again, little hammer on and pull off, and ending on the C. And then the melody just repeats, so I played it the same way. I think at one point I did play that melody up an octave, so that's another option that you've got. So if I just put all of that together with a little bit of overdrive, that will sound like this. Then for the verse of the tune, it feels like we've changed key to the key of A, and we just got a simple 4-chord cycle. We just got A going to C, G, and then D. And again, I just tried to make the vocal melody fit on the guitar. It's quite a simple vocal melody. Something along those lines. So I chose to play this all on the 3rd string, on the G string, just at the 9th and 7th frets to start with, and then moving down, something like that. Tried to bring out the rhythm and make it a little bit funky, so I was keeping my strumming hand moving, had some kind of percussive scratches in there as well. Then I've got some double stops here, so C sharp and E to C and E. Then it repeats. And then just to build things up before we hit the chorus again, just playing some more double stops. So C sharp and E, just moving that shape up higher, and then this shape here, so frets 12 and 14, this is hinting at an A7 kind of a sound. This is a G and a C sharp. So that was how I decided to play the verse. If I just show you that with a little bit of overdrive as well. Then I played another chorus which was mostly exactly the same as before. Then there's a re-intro, and again we've got that Ernie Isley fuzz lick in there, but with a slight variation. So on the re-intro it sounds like this. So we've just got some extra notes tagged on to the end of the phrase. So coming up to the 5th and 7th frets on the 3rd string, and just hammering between those notes, coming down to the B, and then the root note, and A. You can play it there, you can play it there, it doesn't really matter. sounds good. I think if you give some of those notes quite a vigorous wobble with the old whammy bar, I think that's quite an Ernie Isley thing to do. Moving on to the guitar solo, and on the recording there's this amazing extended outro, got some lovely soloing from Ernie Isley, and I'm not attempting to do what he's doing. I'm really just doing my own thing. Perhaps some of my ideas are a little bit inspired by Ernie Isley, but I don't think you should try and play what he's playing note for note, and I don't think you should try and play what I'm playing note for note. And my approach to this solo was to play quite loosely, quite wildly, perhaps a little bit messily, and I'm a fan of that style of soloing. I don't think this kind of tune is a place for kind of precision guitar soloing, so you really just want to play with a bit of passion and a bit of abandon and see what happens. The outro is in the key of A minor, I think, and like the introduction, we're just going between a pair of chords, so A minor 7 going to D minor 7, and Ernie's solo is played almost exclusively, I think, with notes from the A minor pentatonic scale, so that was what I was also doing in my solo. And I was starting off up here in the 12th position, and you might like to think in terms of your minor pentatonic scale shapes here, just to give you some bearings in this area of the guitar. So if we're in the 12th position, this would make it the A form of the scale, so we've got it's the scale shape. You could add in the flat 5 if you wanted to make that into a blues scale. Help just to think in terms of those notes as you're soloing. Now, my opening lick, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was just something very simple. Something like that. You can get a lot of mileage just out of some simple bends, just playing with a bit of attitude, adding some vibrato, and that can sound really, really good in this kind of context. So just repeating that bend there, and in this particular scale position there are a couple of strong contenders for notes to bend which are going to sound good. So you can bend this D up to an E. This is the 15th fret on the B string. It sounds good just doing that kind of thing. I could do a similar kind of thing at the 15th fret on the top string. And you've got some nice, simple but effective fast phrases which are available to you in this scale pattern as well. So I think I was just doing things like this. A very simple lick, but it does sound really good, I think. So I've just got C and D, hammer on and pull off, and then coming down to the A. When you're ready to exit that lick, you can do so with a bend. You could do a similar kind of thing on the top two strings. So a couple of options there. So hammer on and pull off on the top string. You could either play a C here or a D. And what else? I suppose I was trying to build my solo a little bit and really just doing it in an obvious way, which is just playing faster stuff or playing higher up the fretboard, and those simple devices will always work. So I think what I found myself doing towards the end of the solo was just going for some really high bends. So bending here at the 18th fret. And I like that sound when you're bending the top string, and you also catch the second string a little bit as well. It's got that nice kind of messy, very cool sound. So that's something you might like to try. And I think the most important thing here, and I'm going to repeat myself, but I think it's a point that bears repeating, is just to play with a bit of passion and with a bit of abandon. It's not really a licks kind of solo or a chops kind of solo, or even a particularly melodic solo. It's just playing some bends, really going for it. It's about the tone, it's about the attitude. So that's what I suggest you do. Get a fuzz pedal, switch that on, and kind of go for it and see what happens. as far as the gear goes that I'm using in this video, guitar is my Strat. This is a 65 reissue Strat, I think. Amp is my Fender Princeton. And the key thing here is, of course, the fuzz sound, that iconic fuzz sound that Ernie Isley gets on this record. And I did try and do a little bit of research, and I think it seems very likely that he got this sound by using a big muff pedal recording straight into the board, into the recording console. So I've tried to get as close as I can to that sound today. And I actually went out and bought a new fuzz pedal. I love it when these videos give me a convenient excuse to add to my fuzz pedal collection. I've not counted how many I've got, but it's a lot. And I've actually got another big muff, but this muff is the specific big muff that Ernie Isley uses, or it's a reissue of that pedal. So it's the Ram's Head big muff. Also the pedal that Dave Gilmour famously uses on Comfortably Numb, I think, and some of those other classic Floyd solos. And as far as I'm concerned, this pedal really does nail the sound of the recording. So I'm just using that one pedal into the Princeton, which is running clean. So the clean Princeton sounds like this. And then add the big muff. So it's a classic big muff sound, lots of sustain, lots of low end, it cuts through nicely on the top as well. And I also like the pick definition of this, so when I'm soloing I can kind of hear the pick attack on those notes. I think maybe that's what sets it apart from my other big muff pedal. I can't remember what my other big muff pedal is, but it's one of them in the big enclosure. It's probably a reissue big muff from the late 1990s or early 2000s, and that sounds okay, but I don't think it sounds quite as good as this one. And I'm using one other pedal, and that is the MXR Phase 90, and I was using that for my solo at the end. I really do like that big muff plus phaser sound. I'm not sure if that's happening on the original recording or not. I know that Ernie Isley certainly does use that sound, and he used it famously on That Lady, but I think it sounds great on this tune as well. So it's just big muff, then the Phase 90 into the Princeton, and that sounds like this. Oh, and I almost forgot, I am actually using one other pedal, and that is the Noble's ODR1 Natural Overdrive, and this is a bit more of a mild-mannered overdrive pedal, and I was using that on the non-fuzzy sections of the track, so the verse and the chorus parts. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. My tab and backing track will be up on my Patreon page. I'll put a link to that under this video. You can pay what you like and get access to that. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.